Sometimes one can call Germany long-suffering. One can truly feel sorry for this country, having provided shelter to many who are deprived of it, having given them the right to a comfortable existence. It receives in return not gratitude for shelter and protection, but real swinishness. One such example will be discussed today. For a certain time, many participants in German politics tried not to touch upon the topic of Arab organized crime groups. It is understandable manifestations of xenophobia today can cost a career. At the same time, taking advantage of the lull, representatives of these numerous clans sold drugs, were engaged in robberies, theft, and murder. One wallet is good, but two are even better. Not only money from social security services went into the pockets of migrants, but also from thefts with extortion. No matter how strange it may sound, one could still put up with this if the clans did not flaunt their wealth and lifestyle, but they do exactly that. The Remmo clan is one of the Lebanese gangs that managed to find refuge in Berlin. Its founder, Issa Remmo, has a rather eventful biography. He was born in Beirut, in a refugee camp. Then his family went to Lebanon in search of a better life, and when the civil war began there, the whole family managed to move to West Berlin through the GDR in the late 1980s. What did the gang do? It all started small. Initially, most of the income came from drug trafficking and extortion. In the 1990s, the gang's activities practically did not go beyond the borders of the Neukölln district, but, as they say, appetite comes with eating. Now the gang also runs quite official cafes and shops registered, of course, in the names of third parties. But legal income is no longer enough for these guys. The income required is considerable, because there are indeed a lot of guys. Currently, this group includes about 500 people. To give you an idea of the scale, the founder of the movement, Issa Remmo, has 15 brothers and sisters plus 13 children. Most of the group are Arabic-speaking Kurds, also called Mullahs, whose ancestors once fled first to Lebanon, and from there to Germany. In addition to robberies and thefts, which are now completely at the mercy of the youth, the gang members are engaged in extortion of money for protection, car thefts. Money laundering occupies a special place in the criminal activity of the guys. Clean money is then invested in the purchase of real estate throughout Germany. The gang members also sponsor promising musicians, for example, German rappers such as Bushido and Massive. All this is done, of course, not out of love for art, but, again, in order to launder money. But the heart of the group is still in the Neukölln district. It is there that the group controls almost all the nightclubs and hookah bars, car repair shops and everything else. The gang once had a chance to become pan-European. At one time Issa had a hotel in Poland, but soon had to sell it. In 2014, the Remmo family started having problems. The 33-year-old brother of the group's founder, Tofik, together with several accomplices, stole the cash register. Everything was done in style, the expensive alarm system was turned off in advance, and a real mess was made in the basement. More than 330 safes were opened, from which jewelry worth almost 10 million euros was stolen. Moreover, in order to cover their tracks, the robbers arranged an explosion in the basement, and it was so powerful that the walls collapsed from it. Tofik Remmo slightly miscalculated the consequences of the shock wave and suffered himself a shrapnel in the head plus loss of a large amount of blood. Thanks to this very blood, or rather, DNA, the police were able to track him down. Is it enough for the robbery of the century? By the standards of prosperous Germany, quite. How much did Tofik get for this? 8 years. But instead of going to eat gruel, he went to comfortable courses to get rid of the drug addiction that had suddenly appeared. The clinic was good, probably. There were not only experienced specialists, but also vacations. So, while serving his sentence, Tofik did not forget to post photos of dinners and holidays with his family on his social networks. Because family is sacred. And then Remmo even got part of his sentence reduced. In March 2017, as if tempting fate, the family planned another daring robbery. This time, its object was to be a 100-kilogram coin made of pure gold, the name of which is the big maple leaf. This, so to speak, coin was kept in the Bode Museum, to which one of the patrons of the arts gave it for safekeeping. Ahmed and Wissam Remmo, armed with a skateboard and a wheelbarrow, got into the museum building at night, climbed up the ladder through a window to the second floor, and then simply took the coin from the display case. What is the wheelbarrow for, you ask? To put the coin in it. Of course, the devil is in the details. The brothers had a tip-off, a young museum employee who explained to the guys the nuances of the alarm system. The fate of the coin is sad. It repeats the outcome of the old World Cup. The golden goddess Nike melted down and then sold in parts. This time, the German law enforcement system was seriously angry. In response, German officials confiscated about 80 real estate properties from the clan, the cost of which was approximately the cost of the coin. However, this did not have a very painful effect on the fates of the thieves. Each of them received 4.5 years in prison. The next round took place in late autumn 2019. On the morning of that day, the Dresden art collection was missing jewelry worth almost €1 billion. How is this even possible? Very simple. Early in the morning, the bandits set fire to the electrical panel from which the museum alarm system was powered. And then, through the window, the bandits climbed into the museum. They dropped and knocked over exhibits, smashed display cases with axes, but not one of the criminals stopped to pick anything up. In 8 minutes, the museum lost 94 exhibits, including more than a dozen pieces of jewelry and a diamond-studded sword. The security guards watched the chaos through cameras, but they are the last to blame for what happened. According to their instructions, they locked themselves in a utility room and called the police. The criminals were also armed. However, €1 billion is an approximate estimate of the journalists who wrote about this robbery. Insurers estimated the value of the stolen goods somewhat more modestly, only €114 million. But the police began to act immediately. They found traces of DNA of Remmo, yes, one of the two thieves who stole the coin. Actually, he should have been in prison, but he was released on appeal. At that moment, one of the high-ranking officials of German politics must have loudly slammed his fist on the table and said, "Enough." The repression against the family began. Just 1 year after the museum robbery, in November 2020, 3 members of the clan were arrested in Berlin at once, according to investigators involved in the theft. Other family members were also put on the wanted list, but they failed to return the jewelry. Something tells me that we will hear more about the Remmo family.